Hi, Roger. How are you?
Hey Camila, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Me too. Me too. Thank you for asking.
You're alive.
I
Good.
am. Well, I guess I'm alive, and but maybe I'm dead. I'm dead and alive, and I don't know.
Who
After
knows? Who
after the
knows? Well,
video.
I'm with you as well. So if you're dead, that means I'm dead too.
Oh my God. So we are here to talk about death, and there is death is, I think it's a very difficult subject to talk about in the West. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, a lot of thoughts on this.
Mm,
I mean, death is a concept for which we have no direct experience of.
hmm
It's always sort of removed to us in that way. Um, we have no first person experience of it. Perhaps we have experience of people dying around us, but yeah, Western culture seems um like we don't talk about it, like we kind of ignore it, pretend
Yeah.
it's not a massive part of life and is everywhere. Yeah, or that it's something that we should really prepare for or reconcile. Yeah,
Yeah.
we live as if we will live forever in a way, and that's part of our folly.
Yeah, but shouldn't we live as we were, as if we were going to live forever? I mean, it's a difficult topic to contemplate. And whenever people tell me like, I don't know, like, um, how fragile life is, especially when people around us die. So this last week, an aunt of mine died. She passed away from cancer. And I was sad, but my mom and my other aunts and uncles, they were like devastated. Like,
Yeah.
and it was expected, but they still were very, very sad. And and I don't know. And I guess what I mean is that I don't know what I mean. Um, it is a difficult, complex topic, but do you think is that death is real or is a concept? Leo, in the video that I watched, uh, he said he said that death isn't real, that we construct this like we do with everything pretty much, with our births, with us being born, um,
With
with
our
them,
birth. Yeah.
with our births. Oh, it's difficult to say. And with everything else, we attach meaning and value to everything around us, and we do that with those things, like with living and dying as well. So he advice is that we assume that we don't know. We actually don't know what it is in order to try to construct a significance or deconstruct or whatever. So how is it for you particularly? Like, is death real? And I mean, it might be a very difficult question to answer.
Yeah.
What happens after we die, Roger? Do we die?
Well, I'm not gonna. I won't try to answer what happens after death, but the is death real? So he's getting at he's getting at something in that it's constructed. It is certainly there's a concept, there's an idea in our mind of oh, there's something called death. There's something that happens, or there's a moment of life ending, and that as we can know it is just a construction in the mind. Is a confabulation, is a concept, is an idea. That doesn't mean it's not um, a valid idea. It doesn't mean it's not an idea that actually is pointing or suggesting towards something of significance or something that's actually happening. Um, there are many things that we confabulate in our mind that are just totally made up, unicorns and fairies and these kind of things. But there are other things that we perceive and we construe in our mind that are not exactly identical to the world in and of itself, but they're there for a reason because they're suggesting towards something outside of our concepts, beyond our understanding. But it's like time and space. We have a sense of time and space, but what is it really? Um, are they representations of something other, something that can't be understood to us? And so we can only grasp the representation of time, linear time and space.
Mm-hmm.
Death might be like that. We can see from the outside that there are organisms that are animated and held together and are trying to maintain like a homeostasis, but then at some point that organism falls apart, it loses its animation, it decomposes. We see that at least. But then there's people want to know experientially what happens after death, right? So does your consciousness continue? Will there be a continuation of the stream of your life movie in that way? Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. It makes me think of something that my brother said once. He showed me this documentary where, I mean, it was a very interesting. He's a physicist and mathematics.
Mm.
Um,
A
so
mathematician?
mathematician, yes, thank you. So he was making me watch this documentary like about on the universe, how it came about, what are we, dinosaurs and stuff like that. And at the last episode, it was an episode about how human life is insignificant when you compare to the age of the universe. It was like they divided like the story of the universe in a year, and we emerged. Oh no, we came to being. We
Yep, he came about.
we came about like when it was midnight at 31 of December. No, it was 11:55, 59 of the
59, yeah.
of 59, like in the last second of the history.
The 31st of December.
Yes, yes, yes. Like in the last second, like when it was about to become like be the next year. So that's
Yeah.
how insignificant, according to him, we are, and according to the documentary as well. And we think of ourselves as so special, like we are so special when we compare ourselves to animals or I don't know. And then I was thinking as I was watching, you said about this movie that it is our lives, like this so popular sometimes, even
Mm.
if that's going to continue, it's thinking that first we are very special to think that, and also what if sorry, excuse me. And I'm also reading this book called The Mind Illuminated that
Yes.
obviously you
Yes.
recommended it. And the author was saying why the reason why we should cultivate mindfulness is that we learn how not to be attached to things and live life more freely, like sort of like distance from the character that we play, like. and
Yeah.
and then I was wondering, like, and then Leo, he's talking that we can learn how to die before our biological bodies die. It is
Mm-hmm.
um, lose the sense of self, something that you have talked about also. Um,
Yeah.
so, so yeah, so if we lose the sense of identity with the body and everything, we are sort of like death and alive at the same time. So that's very interesting. It's a very interesting thing, isn't it?
Well, you can, yeah.
Oh my
What
God.
makes you laugh about that?
No, it's always is the way I phrase the whole thing. It is a very interesting thing to me. And you told me once that when you are in a state like correct me if I'm phrasing this incorrectly.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
When you are in a non-dual yeah, or state, when you are at a non-dual state, there is no suffering because there is nothing. And there is there death? Is that being death? Sorry.
Well, we can we can hypothesize like what happens experientially, what happens after, after brain activity shuts down and the heart stops beating. Um, who knows? Um, some people will claim to know, but
Mhm.
I can talk about, experiences that happen while alive, at least that your experience of the world can shut off, that consciousness can shut off, that there can be no sense of time, space, or self, and certainly no thoughts and no register, and it's like no information is being encoded into short-term memory, and so suddenly when consciousness comes back online, there's nothing to recall about the previous moment because nothing was registered. So it was like non-existence. There was nothing to say. There's nothing you can say about it. Nothing you can remember about it. No experience. No bright white shining light or even anything like that. That can turn off. Depends what people are talking about. It's possible to have sort of this ego death, non-dual state, but there's still experience. There's still a sense of colors and space and some sensations sort of
Mhm.
moving and stuff. Depends kind of where you're uh, drawing the line and trying to equate what to death. Which experience there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I I was thinking after our last session, not the last, I didn't
Mm.
attend the last, but how could I refer to the last before
Oh,
last meditation Tuesday
the
session?
the one before last,
The
the
one
one
before our
before.
last, yes. I think it was Sean who said, or maybe it was you that said that like we think that we are always on, like, but the self is not always online. It's something that comes and goes. And then I was trying to perceive that, like, it when it comes online, like when I can catch. And it is
Yeah,
when I have thoughts. So if maybe, I don't know, maybe I should ask you before, like, making that assumption. Because there are times that I caught myself like moving around, going from one room in the house to the other. Until I thought of it, there was nothing going, like there was nothing going on. It was moving, like, you see? And then I thought, oh, I
yeah,
came online now. I came
yeah,
online.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Good,
Yeah?
good, good. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, great. Yeah, I think, yeah, it's good to catch yourself when there is a self. So notice the moments where you do feel the self. Yeah. And then you'll begin being able to uh, recollect sort of previous moments. Well, there wasn't really a self couple, 30 seconds ago, actually, now that I think about it. And then eventually your mindfulness will catch up with those moments where there's no self being projected. And you'll be able to like witness the no selfing moments.
Mm-hmm.
but
Interesting.
maybe before that, it's like you can't notice it while it's happening live, but you can just notice the moments when the self comes back, and then reflect, sort of
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
remember just previous moments where actually, I guess there was no self then. But
Oh, wow, but the experience of catching it as is happening, it must be a sort of like a very, I don't know, something, right? It's
it
very,
is
I don't know, like who is going to catch that? Is it the self?
no.
No.
it's it's your metacognition. It's like
Mm,
the system catches, sort of, the system recognizes
yeah.
moments of just
Peripheral awareness.
experience of
Uh,
what.
yeah, I've heard that, like in the book, I've heard this concept of peripheral awareness,
Hmm.
and we have like attention, and I guess it is peripheral awareness
Yeah,
that
yeah.
can notice the activities of the mind, like what is, I don't know.
Well, no, you get this ability as well, that even with attention, you can clearly notice not selfing moments. So, I mean, in fact, even you can use that spotlight of attention to shine it directly at the self and evaporate the self. You can do both. There are moments where you can catch it in your periphery, and then you can also work to like catch it head on.
Hmm.
And there'll be phases actually where you go through where the self is very dominant, but the self and the quality of not self are two sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
So when the self is in the periphery, that means the not self is gone. Sorry, when the self is in the focus area, that means the not self is in the periphery. And then when not self is in the sort of focus center, that means the self is in the periphery. And they'll be doing these kind of switch, and
Mm-hmm.
you want to train the ability to notice what's in center, but
Mm-hmm.
also what's in your peripheral awareness. You can be able to catch both. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I hope I can do that eventually.
Oh, there are
Mm.
exercises, so
Yeah.
you just
Roger, just give me 1 second because I think my cat, he's stuck or
okay.
trapped
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
I'll come
Go
back.
save your
Second,
cat.
second, again, second.
Yeah. Okay. Mhm.
Sorry, sorry. I'm back.
So good.
Yeah.
Is the cat alive?
Yeah. Difficult cat. So, yeah, I wish I could do it. Oh, I wish I will do it. So,
I hope I can do it one day.
I hope I can do it one day. Yes. Yeah. But meditating already helps my life tremendously. Like the storytelling, I can sometimes, not all the time, but I can catch when I start confabulating things. And I wonder what would it be like not to do that ever or most of the time. So it might feel like, I mean, do you, I want to ask you because, I mean, I don't know. I want to ask you, f- why are you laughing?
I'm curious what you want to ask me.
I don't know. I just I wonder because I'm here and you're there. I mean, that's not the
Yeah.
question. I mean, but I'm here and and everyone knows me. I mean, people who knows me, I feel like sometimes I need to, in fact, like I was given some characteristics like you are kind, you are nice, you were polite, and I played that role, like that people had given me, you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
But if I was someone, if I were, if I would detach from all of that, like at least from what I see, from what I read, that and then everything would become like unpersonal, like distant. It's I
Mm.
don't have to play any character anymore. Who would I be? Who would people perceive me to be? Like for you, for example, I want to ask you, who are you for your parents and your friends? I mean, what are the characteristics that you have? Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know what I want to ask. It feels like I am playing a character sometimes. I'm not authentic. I am like, oh, everyone, I don't know, but I'll speak for myself. Like there are rules, society, and etc. And we play along. When I'm teaching, I'm very nice. Even when they tell me things that I want to say, what are you talking about? Like I still don't do that. So I sometimes have crisis where I go like, am I being an authentic person? And I feel like as I meditate more, I'm being more and more authentic. I don't know what that is. I don't know. So I guess my question is, did your personality changed when you started meditating, when you reached like enlightenment, and and who you became like for the people who knew you before them?
uh,
Oh, I don't know.
yeah, I love it. I love it. Um, I think, I mean, you still have to play a character. You still, and there's many ways in which you can't help but act in the way that you act, and you know, I think as as your well-being becomes more consolidated, um, you probably gain more confidence to be yourself. To, again, what does that mean though, to be authentic? It's a great question. Um, it probably means to act in a way that I think it's this. So mm, we have a model representation of ourselves, right? Of how we perceive ourselves to be, how this character is. And then we also recognize that other people are modeling us. Like you have a perception of me, and I'm trying to figure out, well, how do you perceive me? And so I've got my own kind of self models, but those models are kind of being updated by how I think you are modeling me. And obviously there can be a lot of mismatch there. Like I might think you think I'm really funny and amazing, but actually you're like, this guy like is so annoying. Just like he needs to shut up. And
Hmm.
and I think we want to try to strive to have very accurate models so that other people's models of ourselves are in alignment with how we are modeling ourselves as well. And I think being authentic is um, me not trying is perhaps me acting in accordance with my models of of selfhood and not pretending. Um, it's a difficult one. Not pretending to be someone I'm obviously not, or yeah. Um,
I feel like
maybe I lost you, but I'm kind of just thinking it through.
I feel like I mean all of that come from books and videos and concepts. Like I have no direct experience with this, but I imagine that when you have nothing to win or nothing to lose, it doesn't matter who you are. Like if you're not trying to get something from someone or from a situation, if you don't have an agenda. I've been watching this TV show called The Good Doctor, and there is an autistic doctor there, and he's always very honest with everyone. And there is this girl who falls in love with him, and one of the reasons is that she have never met anyone that honest, and she says that she admires him for not having an agenda. And maybe I want to keep my students that way. That's why I'm always nice. I do have an agenda here. I need to pay bills. I want them to come back. So that might be my agenda. Um, but or sometimes I wonder if spirituality is something that we do when we have things in order, like financial life, health situation, and everything, because it is difficult to have not to have an agenda when we are trying to survive, right?
Well, I think for the most part, everyone has an agenda. Like
Yeah.
the brain is always problem solving. You can have less of an agenda. You can be less less hung up on a particular outcome. I
Mm-hmm.
guess I think really there's a difference that's made when your internal well-being is more secure. You need less, certainly,
Mm-hmm.
but people are always still trying to regulate their internal system and environment
Mm-hmm.
to optimize for stress reduction and decrease suffering. But you know you can have um, more stable conditions than other people, and so that will and you can know how to go about it better than others.
Mm-hmm.
I do think I see. Um, I kind of like this model of sort of people have the internal family systems where there's different parts of oneself. TMI, they talk about this. It's the mind illuminated, and he talks about having this, you're unifying the mind with this process. You're
Mm-hmm.
unifying the mind. And I think that speaks volumes. There is a sense of the different parts of yourself get connected and they're able to become aware of each other and talk to each other, and you have less of a sense of an internal conflict, like, oh, I'm just pretending to be polite because I actually just want to keep my students, and but actually I want to yell at them.
I don't want to
um
yell at them,
yeah,
but
you
yeah.
don't actually. So what you find is it's not inauthentic to be polite, even though
No.
you be polite. There's a reason to be polite, but lots of you wants to do that anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting to solve this inner conflict. So it happens eventually. Yeah. So back to death.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, back to the good stuff.
yeah, yeah. So Leo, according to Leo, when we die, we dissolve into an ocean of infinite love and consciousness. So he's saying that we love is death is love, consciousness, God, immortality, paradise, and complete non-duality. And then he says that he found a way um, of thinking of this, like so. He said that we could think of dying as a tree. He used this story, I think is a Zen story. Like if you identify with a tree and the tree is cut off, you die. But if you identify with the entire forest, it won't die. So he was saying that we shouldn't identify like with ourselves, but with the entire humanity and universe and etc. And that is the way of not dying, because how could we die if we are everything? Um, but it is difficult for me to think like this. Although I have thought of it's very sad what I'm about to say, but when I see on the television, on the news, um, I empathize when I see bad news, bad things happening to people. I can empathize, but only because I wish I wasn't them. I wish that was not happening to me. But yeah, so I think it must suck to be in that position. But actually, then I go on with my day. And I was thinking, um, if what happens actually doesn't affect my day, if something is always happening to people, I mean, something bad, something good is always happening and is not affecting my day. So why is me important? Like, so why what I'm doing should affect anyone's day or anyone's life? Why? And then I come to this place where am I think that I'm important, but what does it matter what I'm doing here in my room? Like, it doesn't affect the lives of anyone, actually. So if I was not here, it would be like I was never here. I mean, does that make sense? Am I? And so,
Maybe.
and no, I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm here or not here, or if they are there or not there. It it's it has no importance. I mean, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. I, I don't know.
Well, I think uh, at the bottom of it, suffering has importance. Suffering matters. The
Yeah.
suffering of sentient beings matters. I
Hmm.
always come down to that. So,
But 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 is it? I mean, the thing is it real? Like, it's happening actually. It is happening. When I see, and it feels like it's not happening. It's not anything is happening. There is nothing outside of this room happening.
mhm, mhm.
And I don't know, it just feel like it's all made up. Everything is made up.
Interesting.
I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know.
that's the experience you have.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes I'll go like I'm not I am made up. Like I'll
Yeah,
go like that. Like it would be like I was never here when I'm not here anymore, you know? And I don't know if that's a very crazy thing to think, but as I was watching Leo's episode, it felt like it felt a bit selfish to think that there is any sense of importance to have anything, you know, ch- to give. But it wouldn't be the opposite. It's not like I'm giving a sense of unimportance. I don't know
yeah.
what I'm saying. I'm not.
Well, what I get what you're saying, but and we can go back to the grand cosmological narrative of you talk about if all of what the history of the Earth was a year,
Mm-hmm,
humans were only appeared on the 59th minute, of the last day.
mm,
And if you go forward in time, like what the story is going to be is it's something crazy. It's so crazy. It's hard to even believe this is a true story of the universe. That the last suns will die out, and then the universe will enter into a dark age where there's no more light because there's no all the suns have burnt out, and that dark age is going to be infinitesimally much a longer period of time than ever there was a period of time in the universe where there was light and when there was life. So from what we know currently, apparently the current story is that, and if you know the sun and water are necessary for life and consciousness, that is just a fraction of a moment, blink of an eye in the whole history of the universe, where the majority of the universe is going to be just black holes in
mm-hmm,
darkness, just swallowing each other and just gaining more and more matter. It's unbelievable to think about. And you think, well, yeah, what does any of this matter in the whole grand scheme of things? The world will come to an end, humanity will die out. We can't change that. What impact can we have on the universe? Nothing. Except doesn't matter how brief a moment it is, suffering matters. You can't get around that. You can't deny that. When you're suffering, it's the most important, significant thing there is.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if it's just for a minute or for a decade or even if it were 1,000 years. It's like that minute, it matters. That is
Mm-hmm.
what gives importance in the universe. That suffering.
But do you believe in this narrative of the universe? Is
Uh,
is that it?
it's
Like,
it's to be honest, it's kind of so ridiculous. It's hard for me to believe it. That like I think we are very far from having any idea what the universe is in a grand scheme of things. I don't think scientists currently, cosmologists currently understand. Oh yeah,
mm-hmm.
they got it right. They, if you're all of human history, you've got all these kinds of different mythological stories of the origin of the universe and the end of the universe. I don't think we've figured it out now. It's very
Mm-hmm.
hard to believe. It just
Mm-hmm.
very hard to believe. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, my brother, he's very, how could I say this? Affectionated to dinosaurs. He's a big fan of dinosaurs.
Oh, he's very. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Affectionated.
Yeah, I mean a fan, obsessed
Yeah,
with
there you go.
with yeah, with
Mm,
dinosaurs. And he likes to talk about it, and he goes on and on how they were alive for like ages, like they lived here way longer than we have been living here.
mm, mm.
And so they were eliminated, and there is this theory that it happened because of something that collided with the
Yeah, an
earth, but
asteroid. Yeah.
an asteroid. But he still does not believe that entirely, that there was the reason that they vanished. So he has his theories, and yeah, it's a mystery. Like, I don't know. Were we dinosaurs? Because if we are consciousness, were we what were here then? We will be what it's coming. Um, I don't know. Like, I it sounds like another story to me as well. Like, to believe that, I don't know. Leo has this particular view that we are God and we divide ourselves into pieces, and we want to experience reality, and we do not want to find out that we have done that. So he says that the truth is also in death. So God, as us, have hidden the truth in death. That's why we don't go there, because we don't want to find out what we are or the true nature of reality. I don't know. Um,
Yeah. I've got a thought on this. So,
what do you think?
um, you like through meditation and whatnot, you learn to realize that everything is a representation.
Mhm.
Everything you experience has this holographic nature to it and is not a real thing. It's not a thing in the way that you previously thought the world was actually substantially made of things that are objective and true, independent of your mind. Everything is a mind made construct, including the notion of a mind as well.
Mhm.
um, and so what you realize is that everything you perceive is slightly off, is not true. It's not real in the way you think it is. And that actually to get the most in touch with reality is to cease to represent anything. Like as close as you can get to reality would be to stop being deluded by all these illusions.
Mhm.
And when the mind shuts off, that's the closest, most understanding you can get to reality. But the irony is that that involves shutting off um, the self, space, and time, and knowing.
Wow.
So
Dying.
yeah, it's like a death before death, yeah, they say, and there's nothing to report.
Mm.
You can't know it.
Wow.
You can't be aware and know it because there's nothing to report.
Yeah. When you tell me those things, I imagine you, I don't know, go into your meditation posture and like go into that place where nothing exists. And then I wonder, does Roger know when it's time to come back? What if, what if, I mean, if it is so much more pleasant, like no suffering, why would you bother
Mhm.
coming back? Like, and then I wonder, is that why the monks go and they live there? And it is a happy life, isn't it? If you can, I mean, why would you come back?
Yeah, well, some try to spend as much time as they can
Yeah, I can understand
there.
why.
So there's
You?
two phenomena
Okay.
that happen here. I'm talking about cessations that are a fraction of a second.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens just super quick, and consciousness shuts off, and then you're back next moment, and it's super quick.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no like deciding to stay in it longer or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a second phenomenon called Nirodha Samapatti, which takes longer to get into. And then when you go out, no experience, consciousness goes out, you can last in it for longer. Subjectively, it feels like no time at all because you have no perception, no awareness of time. But you could imagine someone was watching you, or there was like a clock in the room that's tracking time. But this, this can last a minute, and then some people report even for days. They can be in that
Wow, fantastic.
Niroda for days. Yeah, and then they suddenly come back.
Wow, that's amazing. I hope to get there too.
Yeah, well, I can help you.
I know. I want to join you. Are you still doing that meditation session, like coaching thing? I've heard
On
maybe we should.
Tuesdays?
No, no, no. I've read you saying that you were doing that with some girl, I think, outside. I don't know. Maybe I
Yeah,
misread.
yeah. I do coaching, private meditation
Yeah,
coaching. Well, yeah,
yeah. I'll write to you about that. I'll write you about that. Maybe
cool,
it could be faster. I just
cool, cool,
I want
cool.
this to be
Yeah.
faster. Yeah,
Yeah.
and accountability always helps me, like, so
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you
yeah,
don't want to waste more time than need to, and there's a way to do this. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, there's a map. Yeah. Roger, thank you so much for this conversation. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I always leave our sessions wiser. I like to think a little bit,
Mm.
even if it is a little bit, but I always learn so much from you. So
Ah,
thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
likewise. Thank you very much as well, Camille. I love your depth of thought and how
Thank you.
reflective you are, and
Oh, thank
uh,
you.
doing this is great.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll see you next time and thank you. Good day. Have a good day,
Yes,
a good
yes.
week.
Yeah, thank you. You too, Camille.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.